All right, so get this. Today we're going to deep dive into all those like unwritten rules of grouping in dungeons.
Oh, this is going to be good.
Yeah, and we're going straight to this hilarious post, right? From the wowcirclejerk subreddit.
Yes.
So if you don't know, like wowcirclejerk is basically where World of Warcraft players kind of just gather like to just poke fun at themselves.
Yeah.
And all the crazy stuff that happens in Azeroth, right?
It's like this giant inside joke just taken to the extreme.
Yeah, yeah.
But what I think is so fascinating about this post, though, is that while it's, meant to be funny, it actually kind of highlights some of the super bizarre, frustrating behaviors that players encounter in online games. You know, whether it's WoW or any other MMO.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, and even if you've never like set foot in a virtual dungeon, you're gonna recognize some of these unwritten rules.
Oh yeah,
from your own like online experiences for sure.
For sure.
It's amazing how this post is like so specific to WoW, but also like so universal at the same time.
That's the power of satire.
Yeah, totally.
You take something familiar and just twist it enough to make you laugh, but also make you think a little bit. So.
Sure, yeah.
Let's jump right into it.
Okay.
This first rule is just, it's a doozy.
Okay.
Do not communicate. Oh my God. I mean, on the surface.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's like the cardinal sin of online gaming.
Right.
How are you supposed to coordinate with your group or like strategize?
Yeah.
Or even just let people know you're going AFK if you can't communicate?
Exactly right.
Yeah.
Like it's crucial to the whole experience.
Yeah.
But I think if we look a little deeper,
Yeah.
I think this rule actually reflects a real anxiety that some players feel in online spaces.
Yeah.
Especially in MMOs.
Yeah.
Where there's like a lot of pressure to perform,
Yeah.
It's almost like this fear of
dating,
being judged or ridiculed.
Yeah, for sure.
What if I say the wrong thing? What if I don't know the optimal strategy?
Yeah.
So it's easier to just
stay silent.
Oh,
that's so interesting. Yeah, and it actually makes this rule a lot funnier because it's so relatable.
Totally. Yeah.
I've definitely felt that pressure.
Right.
To not sound like a total noob.
Oh yeah.
More experienced players.
For sure.
But this post takes it to such an extreme.
I mean, right? Absolutely, yeah.
Like even saying hello is considered a weakness.
Exactly. It's the exaggeration that makes it funny.
Yeah.
But it also, highlights how communication, or the lack thereof, can really shape, the dynamics of the group.
Totally.
And it gets even more ridiculous with the whole AFK thing, right?
Oh God. Yeah.
Apparently. Stepping away from your keyboard for a minute is like a capital offense.
Yeah, imagine being punished for having a real life outside the game.
Right.
Like, sorry guys, the pizza delivery person's at the door. I'm gonna get kicked out of the dungeon now.
You're out of here.
Yeah.
It's the absurdity is hilarious.
It's so funny.
But it does make you wonder, like, why do these rules even exist?
Yeah.
Are they just like a way to poke fun at the more hardcore players, or is there something like deeper going on here?
Oh, that's a good question.
And maybe it's a bit of both, right? Yeah. I mean, some of these rules are clearly just like meant to be silly,
right?
But others seem to like tap into some real frustrations,
right? Yeah.
That players have experienced.
Like take this next set of rules.
Okay.
About how to behave in a dungeon.
Oh yeah, these are classic.
Yeah.
Run ahead of the tank, pull as many mods as you can.
Oh my God.
Blast your AoE abilities, without a care in the world.
Yeah.
It's basically a recipe for disaster.
And yet it's the unwritten code
I know.
of dungeon etiquette.
Right.
I've actually gotten secondhand anxiety just thinking about it.
Oh, I know.
Imagine being that poor healer.
Right.
Just trying desperately to keep everyone alive.
Yeah.
While the DPS is off pulling half the instance.
It's complete chaos.
Yeah.
And it goes against everything that makes a group successful.
Right.
In an MMO, right?
Yeah.
Like Let's talk about aggro for a second.
Okay, right.
So aggro, that's basically the measure
of
how much an enemy wants to attack a specific player.
Right, okay.
Right.
Yeah.
The tank's job is to hold aggro, keeping those nasty mobs focused on them.
Right.
While the DPS can,
do their thing.
Attack safely.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So if someone runs ahead and pulls extra enemies, they're throwing a wrench into the whole system.
Right.
It's like that friend that always tries to steal the spotlight.
Yeah.
Even when it's not their time to shine.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
And the post actually acknowledges this.
Does it? Oh, yeah.
Albeit in a very sarcastic way.
Okay.
Remember that line?
Remind me.
If you pull aggro, just pop it, defensive, and tank it, you wimp.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's hilarious.
It's so fun.
Because it completely misses the point of roles in a group setting.
Right.
Yeah. It's like saying, oh, you accidentally set the kitchen on fire.
Right.
Just grab a fire extinguisher and put it out yourself, you wimp.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like, it's just so clueless.
So funny.
And funny.
Yeah.
But it does make you wonder, like, why do people feel the need to pull all the mobs?
Yeah. Is it just impatience?
Right.
Or is there something else driving that behavior?
I think, that's a great question.
Yeah.
And I think it kind of speaks to a larger issue.
Okay.
In online gaming in general.
Yeah.
Which is this tension between individual goals and group cooperation.
Right. Yeah.
Sometimes players get so focused on their own progression, their own loot, their own, need to be the best. That they lose sight
of the bigger picture. Totally.
And that's where I think those really frustrating behaviors start to emerge, right?
Yeah. Like the ninja looting of Jesse.
Oh, ninja looting. It's the ultimate betrayal. I mean, you're working together as a team.
Yeah.
You're fighting your way through hordes of enemies, and then bam.
Yeah.
Someone snatches that precious loot right from under your nose.
Oh, it's like a punch to the gut.
Right.
Especially if it's like an item you really need for your character. Yeah. I've been there.
Yeah.
And it does not feel good.
No.
It makes you like question the whole point of playing together.
It's interesting though, because in a way this rule about ninja looting, it kind of speaks to like the evolution of online games.
Okay.
Like in the early days of MMOs, loot systems were very often like free-for-all, which led to a lot of conflict and drama.
Right.
But as games have evolved, many have implemented systems like need before greed rolls, or even personal loot drops to try and mitigate those issues.
Yeah, it's all about trying to find a balance between reward, like the individual effort, and then like maintaining a sense of fairness in the group.
Right. But even with those systems in place, there's always going to be that temptation to grab what you can.
Totally.
Especially if it's like a rare or powerful item.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that's where the satire of this post really shines through, right? It's like, hey, even though there are rules, let's just throw them all out the window and embrace the chaos of everyone grabbing for themselves.
Yeah.
That's so funny. It's funny, but it's like, it's also so true. And then it kind of brings us to another one, right?
Right.
Another unwritten rule that highlights this tension, right?
Yeah.
Between like individual and group goals.
Yeah.
And that's like ignoring players who are trying to complete quests.
Right.
That one really gets me, because I've definitely been the poor soul, just like standing there waving my arms frantically while my group just like blitzes past me.
Yeah.
Completely oblivious to my plight.
Just like, hello.
Yeah, like what am I like chopped liver over here?
Right. You're like, hello, I'm over here like trying to save the world.
Yeah.
Can someone at least acknowledge my existence?
Right.
It's brutal, and what makes it even funnier or more frustrating is that often these quests are like essential for progressing the main story or like unlocking key features in the game. So it's not just about being like a good teammate.
Right.
It's literally about hindering the entire group's progress.
I think it also speaks to like, the different ways players approach MMOs.
Okay.
Right. Like Some people are very focused on the social aspects, the group dynamic, the shared experience of, completing quests and exploring the world together. While others are much more focused on the individual grind, leveling up as quickly as possible. Maybe even viewing other players as obstacles in their path.
It's like two completely different philosophies just clashing in a virtual dungeon.
Totally.
Oh, and speaking of clashing philosophies.
Okay.
Let's talk about the last two unwritten rules on this list, which have to be my absolute favorites.
Okay.
Apparently, you should never release your spirit when you die.
Right.
But you should also never resurrect anyone else in your group.
Oh my God, yes.
Talk about a catch-22.
It's a brilliant paradox, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it plays on that classic MMO experience of corpse running.
Oh God. Oh yeah.
So when you die in an MMO, you have the option to respawn back at a graveyard.
Right.
But it often takes ages to run back to where you were.
Yeah, especially if you're deep inside a dungeon.
Especially if you're in a dungeon.
Yeah.
So the logical solution is to have a teammate resurrect you.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
Right.
It saves everyone time and frustration, but...
Right. But according to these unwritten rules, you're basically doomed to wander the ethereal plane for all eternity.
A lonely ghost.
A lonely ghost.
Yeah.
Forever separated from your living comrades.
Right.
The post describes it as being stuck.
Yeah.
In this nervous state of limbo.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think perfectly captures that feeling.
It does.
Of helplessness and absurdity.
Totally. You're dead, but you're not really gone.
You're
just
waiting for a resurrection that will never come.
Yeah, it's brutal.
It's like the game is saying, hey, you messed up.
Right.
Now suffer the consequences. By staring at this loading screen.
For 10 minutes.
For 10 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
And the humor lies in the fact that it's a self-inflicted punishment.
Totally. Yeah.
It's like you were saying. It's like we're all kind of trying to out-stubborn each other.
It's a collective act of masochism disguised as dungeon etiquette.
It really is. Yeah. But as funny as this all is, there is a slightly dark undercurrent to these rules, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like they're poking fun at the toxic side of online gaming communities.
That's a really astute observation.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of the reasons why this post has resonated with so many people.
Yeah.
Because deep down, I think we all know that these unwritten rules, while they're exaggerated for comedic effect, they do reflect some of the real challenges that online communities face.
Right, like the pressure to conform, the fear of being judged, the temptation to prioritize individual gain over group cooperation.
All there.
Yeah.
Lurking beneath the surface of this seemingly lighthearted post.
Right.
Right.
And that's the brilliance of satire, right?
It is.
It makes you laugh, but it can also make you think, so... now that we've dissected these unwritten rules, I'm curious to hear from you, dear listener.
Yes.
Have you encountered similar behaviors in your...
We're genuinely interested in your experiences.
Yeah.
Have you ever been the victim of ninja loot?
Yeah.
Have you felt the sting of being ignored?
Yeah.
While trying to complete a quest?
Share your stories with us in the comments or on social media.
Yeah.
We want to hear all about those moments that made you laugh, cry, or maybe even rage quit in glorious fashion.
And as you reflect on those experiences, think about this.
Yeah.
What can we as a community do to challenge these negative norms and foster a more positive and inclusive gaming environment?
Right. Yeah, it's a question worth pondering, right? Because at the end of the day, online games should be about fun, connection, and shared adventures, not about toxic behavior and frustrating unwritten rules that make us want to tear our hair out.
I think sometimes, these satirical rules can kind of serve as a reminder to be mindful of our own actions and how they impact others in the game.
Totally.
It's easy to get caught up
in
the heat of the moment, but taking a step back And remembering that, like, we're all part of the same community.
Yeah.
Can make a huge difference.
100%. Yeah, like imagine if instead of ninja looting that chest, you offered to roll for it, or even better, you suggested splitting the gold among the group.
Imagine if instead of rushing past that quest giver, you took a moment to, like, help out a fellow player.
Yeah.
Even if it meant delaying your own progress by a few minutes.
Those small acts of kindness and consideration can really go a long way.
Absolutely.
Creating a more positive and enjoyable gaming experience.
That's what it's all about.
For everyone.
At the end of the day. And I think that's ultimately what this wowcirclejerk post is trying to tell us.
Yeah.
Even if it's through the lens of humor.
Totally.
You know, it's a reminder that we have the power to shape the culture of online gaming, one interaction at a time.
100%. So next time you're grouped up with strangers in a dungeon or raid, remember, communication, kindness, and a good sense of humor.
That's it.
You might just be surprised at how much of a difference it makes.
And hey, if all else fails,
you
can always just embrace the chaos and laugh it off.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, online gaming wouldn't be half as entertaining without a little bit of absurdity.
It's true.
Thrown in.
Yeah, 100%. But remember, even in the midst of all that absurdity, let's try to be the players that we would want to encounter.
In the game.
Be the change you want to see in the world.
The ones who communicate, who help each other out, who make the experience more fun for everyone.
Well said.
So go forth, brave adventurer.
All forth.
And spread the good vibes in your online worlds. And remember, always communicate nicely.
And that wraps up our deep dive into the unwritten rules.
Thanks for joining us.
Of grouping in dungeons. Thanks for joining us, and happy gaming.